Hello and welcome back, everybody. Today we are going to do our last lecture for Unit 1, which is on Chapter 2, Sections 1.4 and 1.5. In today's lesson, we're going to look at the Ring of Fire, and then we're going to look at some freshwater characteristics and saltwater characteristics. So I want to remind everybody that this is important to look at because Earth's landforms and what Earth is made of impact how humans live. It can change what types of things go on there, like if they can farm or if they can raise domesticated animals or things like that, and also can, pretty drastically change how many people can live there, or if people can live there at all. All right, so this first term is the Ring of Fire. The Ring of Fire is a circle of volcanoes and earthquakes, which lies along the rim or the outer edge of the Pacific Ocean. It exists because of a very large tectonic plate that lies under the ocean, and it slides across other tectonic plates in Asia, Australia, South America, and North America. So the movement of these plates bumping up against each other creates tremendous pressure, which causes a lot of volcanoes and earthquakes. So this is a very important, I guess, geological feature because there's a lot of pressure that exists there. And you'll actually notice if you look at the map there that some of the places that we hear of a lot of earthquakes or volcanoes or things happening, like the coast of the United States, California gets a whole lot of earthquakes. Up on top of California, you have Washington State, which has Mount St. Helens. Some other places like that have a lot of active volcanoes. And this is why those places are so well known for things like volcanoes and earthquakes. So these next couple slides are probably going to be review, but I do want to make sure that we all remember and know these terms pretty well. This first one is earthquake. An earthquake is a violent shaking of Earth's crust. Many, if not most, earthquakes occur along fault lines, which are cracks in the Earth's surface. They are, like we said, extremely common in the Ring of Fire, but they can occur other places on Earth. One area that they can occur runs from the land around the Mediterranean Sea through East Asia. Other earthquake zones include the middle of the Arctic Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean. The other piece that's important to note about earthquakes, especially looking in the Ring of Fire, is that earthquakes can happen below the ocean as well as on land, like being felt on land. And sometimes when earthquakes occur under the ocean, they can cause tsunamis, which are large, powerful ocean waves that can cause a lot of destruction along the coast. So basically, the vibrations and the earthquake can cause these giant waves to happen, which then can cause a tsunami. This next piece that we want to look at is a volcano. The Ring of Fire actually contains more than 75% of the Earth's volcanoes, which I just find super fascinating personally. So a volcano is a mountain that erupts in an explosion of molten rock, gases, and ash. Lava, which is a molten rock, flows down the side of the mountain. So as we know, volcanoes can cause serious damage. For example, in 1883, Krakatoa in Indonesia spewed ash and rock fragments over an area of 300,000 square miles. This volcano eruption also triggered a tsunami because of some of the surrounding earthquakes that killed over 36,000 people. However, volcanoes can also have some benefits to both plants and animals. For example, the mineral-rich lava can turn into very fertile soil. It can move around also some of the other mineral deposits and things that can cause a lot of regrowth to happen after the eruption. So the last thing I wanted to talk about are types of water that we find on Earth. Again, you guys probably know most of these. I just want to make sure that we do know them before we move on to our next chapters. So freshwater, we know that this is something that we require to live. We require water to live. It's more specifically freshwater. People use freshwater to drink, cook, bathe, and irrigate crops. Early civilizations actually relied on living so close to fresh water to survive because it was so difficult for them to have access to fresh water if they weren't close to something like a river. Different bodies of fresh water exist for different geographic regions. A river is a path of water that flows from a higher elevation to a lower elevation. Streams, brooks, and creeks are like rivers, but smaller. Sometimes you'll also notice that all of these things that we're talking about don't exist during long periods of drought or when there's no water, or no precipitation. And the last one there is a lake, which is a large body of water that is surrounded by land. And then the other type of water that we find on Earth is salt water. This type of water contains salt and other minerals. It is a major source of the world's seafood supply and a means of transportation. Not as much so anymore, but definitely like way back when, not way back when, 20, 30 years ago, it was much more common. And even today, you'll see big giant ships that carry heavier goods across the ocean, things that would cost far too much money to fly or be too difficult to put in an airplane and fly. Um, Oceans are large bodies of salt water. We have 5 oceans that we talked about. They're not on the slide because it messed up the formatting too much and it was really irritating, so I didn't put them on here, but they're on your note sheet. The 5 oceans are the Arctic, Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, and Southern. You may remember from one of our first lessons that some people still don't put the Southern Ocean as an ocean, but it has officially been recognized as an ocean, so I always include it. But if people say there are 4 oceans, that's why. Continuously moving flows of water called currents circulate through the oceans and affect the climates on land. The other thing that you might see on maps or things are seas. Seas are smaller bodies of salt water. There are lots of different seas. For example, the Red Sea lies between the Arabian Peninsula and Eastern Africa. All right, so a few things to remember from this section. The Ring of Fire houses most of the world's volcanoes and also has a lot of earthquakes that occur on it. And then the 2 types of water, freshwater and saltwater, are also important parts of Earth's landscape, and all of the different things, all of the landforms and pieces of the Earth's landscape greatly impact how humans interact with the Earth. Thanks for watching, guys. Go ahead and check Canvas and see what your next job is, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.